Hello, 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 and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Jameelah, and I'm a master manifester, and I'm sure you are too. You're watching content like this. The name of this channel is Manifested Magic the Practical Way because there are a lot of practicalities to manifesting the lifestyle, the life, people, the environments that we choose, right? So, what I'm talking about today is when an environment, I'll say when people, a place, or a thing shows you what it truly is, believe it the first time. And so this is like a quote that people use all the time from like Maya Angelou, I believe. When people show you who they are, believe them the first time. And it's so true, right? Have you ever been in an environment or a place or around people where you had a certain idea about what it probably was, or like you had a mindset like it's probably like this, but it wasn't so positive. So you just like, well, let me just tuck that away because I want to be, I want to have a perspective of positivity. I want to have a perspective of creating that the environment is exactly what I want it to be. So you sort of ignore things that are not exactly working with you. I mean, we've all done it because in this world, you don't know how much of it is your poor perception of something or how much of it is actually the positive thing you think it is. Sometimes the line of where that begins and ends is very skewed, right? So when we're in these places, so say like if it's it could be in relationships, right? Relationships is definitely a place. But say like a job, that's definitely a place where you might have a certain idea about how people operate and what they do. And then when you see it in action, you're like, I knew that's what I was working with, but I thought I was trying to not let it be what I thought. And I was just moving on from it, but it is what it is. And so what I can tell you definitely about this little time I've been here on this earth, right? I mean, a lot of time, little time, 42 years. I honestly, almost 43 years, right? Um, I can honestly tell you that those things don't change. Like whatever frequency or level you were on when you attracted that thing or that environment, that is the level at which that place remains. And however long you stay at that level will mean that you will be okay with what you attracted at that level. Sometimes those things that we attract, people, places, things, they can evolve with us, or we can find a new reason or a new meaning for them in our lives. But often the opportunity for that thing has passed and the season of it is changed too, right? And so we have to just keep that in mind. There's no changing the mindset of the people in the environments. There's no, even if the mindsets are changed, it's not gonna be because you pounded it out of people or because you did something that was just so miraculous. Everybody was like, oh, let's just check. No, they're a gang of the environment is a gang. The environment is a gang of whatever frequency that they're on. So you have to keep that in mind. If you're not on that frequency, you're automatically the odd man out. So if your frequency is higher, you're the odd man out, big time. They're okay with lower frequencies in a lot of environments because it doesn't intimidate them unless you're on a lower frequency than them too often, because it feels the same way as it feels for someone that we might consider on a higher frequency having to reach down and talk to people that are on the lower one. So it doesn't matter how low it goes. It's exhausting for anybody when you have to dip down below what you know is right, what you know makes sense, what you know works for you, what you know works for the environment, what you know does not work, and what you know is a poor is a poor approach to human behavior. And you have to remember that it's always going to be a struggle when you have to dip down away from the level at which you choose to operate, right? And the reason why I say like when they show you who they are, believe it the first time, because when we start getting like to our ages, when we're like 30, I would say 35 plus, and we because there is a time limit on this thing that we're doing, right? Could be shorter, but we never know. So we just plan for the long haul. But even the long haul has a time limit on it, right? 80, 90 years, whatever. So you get into these places, you find that you don't have time to waste on things that you know do not fit in your space, that you know are not your aspiration, that you know is not your goal. And so sometimes we have these things that are temporary and they're strategic and they work out for that reason. But when we're doing it, we forget and we sometimes try to make this temporary thing some kind of like, oh, this is where I'm going to stake my, I'm going to stay here. I met these people. They're so amazing. This environment is so nice and all. And then you realize why you saw this temporary in the first place really quickly. You're like, oh, yeah, because they were like this. Oh, yeah, because the environment's like this. Oh, yeah. I remember I worked at a college back in the day. um, and there was cubicles for the people. Like I worked in IT, so like they always think IT needs to be in a locker, in a closet somewhere, tucked away, which was great because it was perfect for my personality. I didn't mind being in an office closed off all day. And so like most of the people who did like HR, all these regular things, they were out in the front and they were in cubicles and stuff. And what's so funny is that when they used to think someone was walking by who was important to the environment or that they needed to impress, all the heads would go up, and someone made a correlation to it like prairie dogs. If you ever gone by past prairies and they have like really high grass and there's like dogs, that hang in that prairie, but you don't even know they're there until a car is passing on the road. Then all the dogs peek up above the prairie to see what's coming. Like, it's just a survival instinct, I'm sure. And so someone at work said they're like a bunch of prairie dogs. And I was just like, oh, yeah. And I'm just like, oh, yeah, that was the culture of that place. The culture of that place was to be very afraid of anybody who ranked higher than you. Anybody who had a higher degree, anybody who had more education, or whatever it was they used for the thing. Anybody who was closer to the chancellor, closer to the president, is like the idea was to be afraid of them. It wasn't to figure out things and to expand and to evolve and to innovate. It was to be afraid. So in that environment, I wanted it to be a really great place to be, but there was that factor in there that was really just not what I was doing. I'm like, I don't call anybody boss. That's just never going to happen. It's just the stupidest word I could ever think of, boss. Why would I call someone a boss? Now, I know guys say it to other guys as a fun term, like, hey, boss man, all this kind of stuff. But like at work, when somebody said, well, my boss, I'm like, girl, grow up. You shouldn't be calling nobody your boss. They are the supervisor or the director of whatever department they are in. It is not your boss. They are the supervisor and the director of the position that you are in. They're not your boss. Words are very heavy. Words are extremely psychological. Can't walk around making yourself a slave to somebody else's master. It just doesn't work like that for me. So like you walk around, you go, talking all this mess, my boss and this and that. And it's like, shut up. Shut up. It's like, stop self-defeat talking. It's just not, those environments, they're not for they're not for you. They're not for you. They're for the institution and the agenda that they're pushing and whatever it is, right? So when environments show you what they are, you have to realize, okay, do I want to continue to give my life energy to this environment? Do I want to continue to give my life energy to this person? Do I want to continue to give my life energy to this subject matter? Right? I got like that with politics. I'm like, I've only have so much life energy to give. And I've already done my deep dive and act like being Democrat or Republican was at the end of the world. And it was somewhere around 2008, 2010. But I really look back, my beliefs are way bigger than politics any day. So it's like I could stay in that world and try to find something to latch on to. But the world is a very limited mindset when it comes to going on about who's Democrat or who's Republican, right? And it's a limited I can't pretend and act like, I'm high frequency, but not there. When I come to politics, I'm low frequency. But anything else, I have high acceptance for everybody and everything around the world. It's like it doesn't work like that. Either you have a high frequency and you allow people to be exactly who they are, and you decide if you want to meet them where they are, you want to go do something else, or you find something else to do. But I mean, you can't run around, demonizing people because they're not stooping down to a lower frequency, because it is a lower frequency. Because if you look at politics in any country, it's very low frequency. I know that it's supposed to do good work. Whether or not the good work gets done, I'm not even clear on that. But the frequency of the people who are participating in it is very low. So you find yourself outgrowing these things and environments, and that's perfectly okay. But I think the biggest mistake that we make is when an environment shows us what it is, or a person or a place or a thing or whatever, we try to make it something else. And we say, okay, well, maybe that was a little mistake. Maybe that was and you know why I know it's true? Because I've done that to other people. I've done that because I've done that in the workplace. If somebody asked me to do something I didn't want to do, I get an attitude about it, right? But it's a real passive aggressive kind of I learned it from HR women, from all the lenders in the world. I learned it. I learned it working in higher ed. I'm like, these women are quite passive aggressive, but they get what they want. And, I was really clear, and it's not a good characteristic. I learned it a long time ago, and I'm trying to unlearn it at this point. But you get me to do something I don't want to do or something I'm not interested in. I go, okay. I used to go, oh, well, maybe it was just that one time everybody was under a lot of pressure. There was this, there was that, there was this. And I'm like, that will be my reasoning. But I know now that when that environment dips down to those kind of tactics, that is what you're dealing with. Because if it's acceptable to that degree, it's acceptable all the time. There's no tricking it. And I've gotten attitudes with people when they've told me to do things, but like a passive aggressive one. And I know that people have said in my past, oh, I'm sure she was just in the mood. No, that was who I was. And the fact that I didn't do it again was the fact that I didn't want to see myself snap at you again. But when you saw it the first time, you got it right. That's who I was. I just wasn't showing it in the workplace. And a lot of people are walking around like that. They got a lot of things about them. That's who they are. But you see it one time and it kind of tricks you. But the energy of it and the attitude of it is deep down on the inside of them. And when you're around envious or jealous people, you can feel it. You can feel the lack of interest or desire to be interested in anything you have going on, no matter how much you've been interested in what they have going on. You can feel it. And when you start to know yourself and understand who you are, you have to believe yourself and not believe the lies or whatever's being tossed at you in the environment. You have to know that, hey, man, I'm going to go with this intuition. I'm going to know that this is what this behavior looks like. I stated clearly what my position was. And so this was the feedback I got. Whether it's representing the same thing to me as it is the other person, the fact is it's not what I want. And if it's not what I want and something I want to deal with, there's no sugarcoating it or making it any kind of different way to make me believe. So you have to just be like, okay, I've seen what this person is. I've seen what this environment is. I've seen what this attitude is or whatever. And I'm going to go with that. That's going to be my information that I'm going to use to make my next move, right? So it's like a GPS navigation, right? You get information as you're moving in the navigation. It's like, we got some updated information. Would you like to make a turn at this corner? It's going to be 5 minutes faster. Or sometimes GPS goes, updated information. There's a route over here 10 minutes slower. No, sir. Why are you even showing me that? Nonetheless. And it's like, it's going to be 5 minutes faster. And you like pivot on a dime. You're like, okay, because I was thinking I needed to go this way. But if I don't need to go this way, thank you, universe, for opening up this door right here that I didn't even see that was on my right hand side. So that's what I want you to have in your life. Those unexpected doors that open up because you're not out there second guessing yourself. And you're not out there trying to pretend like environments that are crappy or people that are crappy or things that are crappy are great, right? You can be content, but you don't have to be satisfied with nonsense. Content all the time, but the satisfaction, no, because that lack of satisfaction and that discomfort that you're brewing up, that's going to be the thing that pushes you to create that thing or do that thing or move to that next level that you're trying to get to, right? Before we all done in our little timekeeper, it runs out, right? I always say that my time is way more valuable than money, right? If someone told me you had 2 more weeks to live, or you can have $1 million, but you only have 2 more weeks to live. Or you can have till you're 90, but you'll never be rich. I think most of us will go with, I'm going to stay till I'm 90 so I can love the people, places, and things that I've cultivated and truly get my worth out of this ride that we call life, right? Anyway, have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day.